Good evening, everyone. Great to see you. Great to have you aboard. We're going to talk about Karen Read. Is there a motive? A motive for who? Well, for whoever you think did it. We're going to talk about that on the Tangent podcast tonight. Obviously, there's lots of news about the big, huge verdict. Yes, Chad Daybell, the Doomsday Prophet, guilty.
As
So,
expected, as predicted, right here.
Yep, exactly. Anyhow, great to see everyone tonight. I am on the road. If you've noticed, I haven't been on Closing Arguments. I'm not on Closing Arguments tonight because I'm on the road. I was recording and filming episodes of my show, Accomplice to Murder, bouncing all around the nation. I am super pumped because tomorrow morning I jump in another plane and this time fly into Nashville, Tennessee for CrimeCon 2024, where I'll be meeting and greeting everybody Saturday at 11, but Friday night we'll be doing the show live. We're going to do it live from CrimeCon. Please come by if you're around. Say hi, introduce yourself. I'm Vinnie Politan. Al Wunsch is with us. Is everyone in the right place? Yes, Al is in the right place. Jonesy, the radio legend, with us as well. All three of us first worked together.
Speaking of place, where are you tonight?
Where am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I can reveal it. I am in, as my photographer says, Pensacola. Pensacola, Florida, in the Panhandle. Different time zone than you guys, but the same time zone as CrimeCon in Nashville. Covering a story in a little town called Cantonment.
Cantonment?
Yes.
I would love to know the origins of that name.
Yeah, me too, because I've now covered 2 stories in Cantonment in one season of Accomplice to Murder. No, it's nuts. It's a tiny little town on the outskirts, about 20 minutes from downtown Pensacola. And I can't believe 2 stories there in Escambia County, Florida. So, getting it done here. I've been bouncing all around. So I haven't been streaming. So we're going to do it tonight. We're going to do it live. Obviously, we're going to talk about Karen Read because we're in the middle of that trial. But coincidentally, how about this? And I wonder what you guys think of this. I mean, this is a long trial. And in the middle of the trial, I think we're in the middle or just past the middle of the trial. You have Monday off for Memorial Day. They have court on Tuesday. Then they take the rest of the week off.
Well, you got to do that. Well, first of all, because
if you're going to do Tuesday, why don't you just give the jury the whole week? Why you make them come in for Tuesday? Give them the whole week. But they brought them in for one day after Memorial Day, then sent them home Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Well, sometimes that's because of the witnesses.
Yeah.
So sometimes, because they had a lot of scientists and experts testifying. So when you have that, sometimes they're not available readily. So if you got them, you got to take them. And, you give off the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, judges in the middle of a trial still have their regular calendar they have to deal with. So, you do have to give the judge a break and give the judge an opportunity to deal with the other several hundred cases that they may be juggling.
I didn't know that. When you're doing a trial, if you're a judge, you have other matters that you have to attend to as well?
There's judges will be trying 2 cases at the same time sometimes.
Really? Wow.
Yes. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's happened to me.
We cover trials all over the country. And what's interesting, Al, because I know you're in Jersey, that's where I practice. New Jersey, it's rare to have a trial 5 days a week.
It never happens.
Other states, they do it. They do it 5 days a week. And I think it's all how the systems are set up. The New Jersey courts, though, they're so backlogged. And things would come to a standstill if you had a 4-week trial. The judge would the whole docket would just explode. So, but other parts of the country, they figure it out. 5 days a week. New Jersey, you're lucky if you get 4. I think Massachusetts has been more like a little closer to New Jersey. They've been doing 2 half days a week during this trial, and I think again it's because of the judge's calendar. The world doesn't stop for one trial.
No. And motion day, New Jersey doesn't have trial traditionally on Friday. Okay, so every
Is that because of the
Friday,
Sabbath?
I'm sorry?
Is that because of the Sabbath?
It is because of the Sabbath, and so you can only go to sundown, and then you have to leave.
I
But
thought
no, they don't
Friday.
have it on Friday because Friday is motion day.
I
Okay,
thought
so
Friday was
Friday is,
I thought Friday was sentencing day.
and it's also sentencing day in the criminal. And like
Right.
Vinny's doing, it's
Motion day,
emotion.
baby.
That's right.
Yeah. Woo!
It's
Woo!
emotional rescue.
That's
Yeah.
the day you hang out outside the courthouse and you pick up somebody because their mate has been sent away.
It's absolutely, it's genius. Like if there are lonely men out there, go to court on Friday, especially in New Jersey, when he's going away for 5 to 15, and eh,
I'm there for you.
I'm there for you. A shoulder to cry on, someone to lean
That's right.
on.
I'm there for you.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the motive here. And here's my problem. Okay. Just in general with this trial. Okay. Both sides in this case are making pretty extreme allegations that it was purposeful conduct that resulted in what happened to Officer John O'Keefe on purpose. Like this was intentional. There's no accident. This is like, as bad as it gets in human behavior. And on either side, it's got to be someone who knew and or liked John O'Keefe. And in those situations, I want a motive. You're trying to sell me that, his girlfriend is responsible. Give me the motive, especially when I'm watching the video of them hanging out in the bar minutes before this happens. Or if you're trying to sell me that it's like a fellow police officer and a buddy of his, explain to me why. Give me a why. I need a motive.
Well,
Now, you don't have to prove a motive. Nobody needs to.
right.
But to make sense of the allegations going in both directions in this case, somebody better tell me why.
Well, first of all, prosecutors really don't like having to prove a motive. Okay, it because it can make the case a little bit messy, and it can open up doors to the defense that would not be there if you are trying to push through a motive. I mean, really, as a prosecutor, all I want to do is the elements of the crime. Okay, this is what the crime is. It requires me to have this, 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 and this. I've proven this, 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 and this, therefore guilty. When you bring a motive into the case, you do muddy the waters, because motives can have plausible anti-motives or can be unproven. I mean, I go back to a case with regards to, it was in New Jersey, and it was a case involving a individual who allegedly did away with his wife and removed the head. Okay, they found the torso up in upstate New York, but they never found the head until many years later, when I was prosecutor, and I actually then had to get a DNA study, and they still couldn't prove that was the head. But what happened was the prosecution said that there was a motive, and the motive was that this woman was having an affair with another teacher that she taught with, and that's why the husband went after her. Well, it turned out, okay, that the defense used that as a sword against the case from the prosecution by saying, wait a minute, that's true, she did have an affair, but he cut the affair off. He told her that he didn't want to see her anymore, that she was then obsessed with him and was harassing him and was doing all these things to bother him, and saying that I didn't want to leave, I did everything else, and that's why he killed her. And the jury bought it and acquitted the husband. Now, interestingly enough,
tell me this, Jonesy.
Sure.
If the person being accused is like someone they knew, right? Someone they knew.
Right.
Don't you want to know why? Don't like you like it's someone that they have like a relation. They're not enemies. They could be their friends, their lovers, their coworkers. Like, you want to know why. Like the cases involving the people who were like psychotic,
Right.
people who are sociopaths. There is no why necessarily. Like in the Idaho student case. But if it's someone you knew and it's people leading relatively normal lives, you want to know why.
I would think that if it's somebody that they knew, then it should be a lot easier to find motive, because relationships of all kinds are complicated and have bumps in the road, and sometimes insurance policies or whatever the case may be.
But that just bolstered my argument. Okay,
Mhm.
the relationships have different ups and downs amongst everyone.
Sure.
Okay, you have good days with your best friend, and maybe you're not talking to your best friend, and you're mad because your friend did this or whatever, and then you're involved in a relationship, and you want to break it off, and she doesn't want to break it off. It messes up the waters, and it makes it more difficult to deal with it. So, I mean, that's why the prosecutors. I mean, Vinny was a prosecutor. I prosecuted 15 years. I didn't like to get involved with a motive. It just made the story, like the example I gave you, the North case.
Yeah,
Where
I
that
get
ended
that.
up,
I
it
get that.
ended up working, and the jury was like, "Well, it made more sense to me that he'd want to get rid of her than the husband." Okay,
By the
so
way, After Dark Records, and we finally have a picture. Thank you. Today was a great day for American justice. After Dark, so excited about Chad, the Doomsday Prophet, being convicted. Awesome. Thank you, After Dark. Always great to see you. Yeah, horrific story out of Boise. Absolutely horrific. So let me ask you though, now, because your case that you were discussing is about relationship, etc. Prosecutors in the Karen Read case are saying the relationship soured.
right.
That they took this group trip down to Aruba, and Karen was angry and confronted one of the Sullivan sisters.
I remember
And the Sullivan sisters testified about that. The morning that the three women are together, including Karen, going back looking for John O'Keefe, Karen is wondering if he went to his ex's house in the neighborhood. So there's a level of jealousy as a theme that they're playing. Like, is that enough? Like, is that enough that the relationship soured? It's not. They're not married. There's no, like, if the relationship soured, you break up. You're
Right.
adults. You break up.
Right.
You go your
Right.
own way. There's
If
no
that's all they
kids.
have, if that's
There's
all they have,
no
I would-
insurance. There's no nothing. There's no alimony, Jonesy. Nothing.
if that's all they have, I would say, like, Al's absolutely right. Why bring it up if relationships sour all the time?
Well, I mean, they are playing that card, and I agree with what Vinny just said. Is that enough? I mean, he may have kissed her, the former girlfriend or a woman in Aruba, and does that lead you to murder? I don't understand how that could possibly be. I mean, it's not a scenario that comes into play that you're going to take someone's life because of a kiss, and especially because she was having her own little footsie games with
She's playing footsie.
with
Higgins.
another with Higgins,
Brian
right?
Higgins.
She was sending little, seductive text messages. You're hot. You're this. You're that, and and that kind of stuff. So she's playing the game, and fueling that fire to the point to where the defense is saying, "Aha, Higgins might be the guy responsible because she didn't pay attention to him in the bar because she was making him jealous with being close to our boyfriend." And so, I mean, like, these games go back and forth, but does that give you a motive to take someone's life? I don't see it.
Have any of you either of you ever played footsie?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I gave it up for Lent.
Okay,
My
I'm going to
friends-
try to read this message. I have to get real close here. I can't see it.
A few alpha males and some alcohol is enough. Maybe they didn't mean to kill him, but panicked and decided to put the guy outside and blame KR. I have a huge problem with that.
So wait. So Michelle L is saying that it was an ambush, but the intent wasn't there for the result, but it went too far. So now we've got to cover our tracks, I think is what she's saying. So there you wouldn't need, but you still need the motive for whatever the ambush was, right?
What
The fight.
ambush?
What was the motive there? Put up your dukes.
Yeah.
What she's saying is an incident that went too far, which does happen.
But what's the motive for the incident? Like, why even pick a fight with Johnny O'Keefe?
Well,
Like, let me say this about John O'Keefe, okay? Like, I never met him, but I just look at what he did, okay? He's a Boston police officer, not an easy job, by the way. Difficult job, you know?
Like 18 years or something like that. I mean, he was on the force for a long time.
Yeah, and a dangerous job. Nonetheless, I mean, it's a dangerous job. It's not like doing a podcast from your beautiful hotel suite. No, it's like you're out there in the streets.
You ever see the comments, Vinny? Sometimes these comments can be dangerous.
Right, but there's tragedy in his family. His sister and his sister's husband pass away within 2 months of each other. They have 2 children, and boom, John O'Keefe, single Boston police officer, jumps in and says, I got it. I'll raise these children. And he did it. And just that fact alone, wouldn't that give anyone who knew John O'Keefe pause from doing anything to harm him on purpose?
Well, you're right. And
how cold you'd have to be, because all these people who are being the fingers being pointed at, whether it's Karen Reed or people in the house, they all know John O'Keefe's situation. They know the situation of those children. Who on earth in that group would want to purposely take his life and destroy more of the world of these 2 children who've lost mom and dad within 2 months of each other? Then they're raised by Uncle John for like 8 years, and then they lose Uncle John. Are you kidding me? Who would do that? You'd have to be. That's like borderline psychotic to do that to those children. Well, and I'm not seeing it in the case. I don't see it.
The other thing is this. All of these people are testifying. So, like that always like kind of sends up a signal to me as a defense attorney that if the guy comes to me and says, listen, I may have been involved, I don't want to tell you how, but I could have been, I could have hit him and this, that, the other thing. What's the first thing I'm going to tell him? You're going to take the Fifth Amendment up there, because if you go up there and they're able to get you, and crush you up with regards to a good cross-examination, or you lie on the stand or something along those lines. One, I'm not allowed to let you lie on the stand. As your attorney, I'm not allowed you to suborn perjury or to perpetrate a fraud upon a tribunal. Okay, I'm not allowed to do that. The fact that all these guys are testifying says to me that that's not the situation. And I agree also, Vinny, that like they haven't set, now of course defense hasn't gone yet, but they haven't set the table up as to like Higgins was jealous because O'Keefe was promoted over him. I mean, they weren't in the same department, so we wouldn't be able to use that argument. But you could, like sometimes he got the position of lieutenant over this guy, even though that guy had more seniority. And as a result, there was bad blood between them and things along those lines. There's nothing been established along that way. And I'm curious as to whether the defense is going to try to show some sort of a story. But that's where the motive, once again, it doesn't make sense.
I don't see a motive for anyone to harm this man.
No, I don't see a motive for Karen
everyone
Reed
being accused knows that what these kids have been through, and they know what John is doing for these kids. So why would you do that on? Because, and again, don't forget both sides. One side is saying it's done on purpose with the car, and the other side saying it was an ambush that was set up. and like they're practicing for the ambush in the bar with the boxing scene, and then they show Colin Albert's knuckles and saying, you know, that he. So they're not saying this is like an accident by anyone, like, oh, they're horsing around, or he accidentally got hit by Higgins' snowplow, or, you know, Karen Reed was doing a K-turn and maybe she had a little too much to drink, well, which she probably did, which I think she did, and she accidentally hit him and didn't know, and then maybe realized it later. I mean, yes, that stuff may be criminal, but it's not what the accusations are here. The accusations are there is like that criminal mind that, hey, I'm going to do this. He needs to go and I'm going to do it. Can you read this one, Al? Can you read this one from Shelley Silva?
Which one?
You see it up there? You don't see it?
Oh, yeah, okay. Didn't John fight his mom in court for the kids?
Did John fight his mom in court? Now, that may be true, but I don't know. I don't know. What I do know, though, is that John's mom and dad now have the kids, and they're in the house. They're in John's house, and it's got to be difficult for them. They're a little bit older. It's tough. You know, it's tough when you're a grandparent to have that level of energy, whether the child's little or these ones are a little bit older now, obviously. But I don't. You know, it's tough. It's tough. But I don't know if there was a fight in court. I mean, the way it was explained in court didn't come across that way to me. It came across that, you know, the family looked around at the situation and John stepped up. But I can't imagine there was any, like, you know, custody battle for the children. It was like, who's going to step up? Because it's not easy. You know, like John's brother was, you know, he was like, I'm going to do it, but he has his own kids. And, you know, you add two more to the mix, it gets even, you know, financially, it's challenging. The house you live in and the scheduling, and, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy. And as a single parent, like John O'Keefe, wow. But he's going to need help, right? I'm sure he got help from his family, from his parents, from his sister. And I think to a certain extent, Karen was helping here as well.
Well, not if you listen to the niece and the nephew. They weren't particularly flattering about her. And they made some, you know, some comments that were negative about her and what was going on in the household and things along those lines. So
does that add to your motive here? Like this is how I look at it. I'm like, okay, things aren't great, right? But they're not married. They're not married. Like, if it's not great, she can just walk out. He can say, you know, skedaddle, you're not coming over anymore. You just break up. There's no court battle. There's no custody battle. There's no alimony. There's nothing. There's no shared assets. It's just like you're in high school.
Right.
And high school, if you want to, Jonesy, how many women did you break up with in high school? It was easy.
None. I didn't date any in high school. I was a late bloomer. I had to wait until I went to Aldo's.
In Lyndhurst, ladies and gentlemen, where my band played numerous times.
Yes,
by the way, I will be at anyone listening or, you know, watching. I will be at the Damned concert tomorrow with the Dictators and Lenny Kaye. So, you know, please, if you're there, look for me. I'll be in the VIP section and would love to buy you a drink. So, Hammerstein Ballroom.
I can't refuse.
Yeah, that
you know,
Hammerstein
Ballroom. When you say that he's such a great guy, and you know, why would anybody do such a thing to him? Anybody who's capable of committing that kind of crime, I don't think they're going to take pause to say, "Oh, but he's so nice. He's such a good guy. We can't do this."
But you know, but at the same time,
do that.
But these are people who know him. Like this is the part. Like, either way you look at it, these are people who know John O'Keefe and him.
Oh, right.
Who turned
People
out
know Vinny Politan. No, he could be missing very shortly. Okay, so he's quiet now, folks. So because we never allowed dead air to go forward, I will sort of banter back and forth with regards to Jonesy and the point that was brought up. the fact that he is a good guy, okay, demonstrates that it's very difficult. You can't hear you, Vin. But the
Can't
fact that
hear
he's
you. Hey,
So-
watch it.
the fact that he is not seen as a bad guy does make motive a little bit more difficult. I don't see that there's a situation that comes right front in anyone's face that says that these cops were going to knock him over and knock him out for any reason. It doesn't make sense. But I also, on the other hand, don't think that Karen Reed, who already seemed to be setting up the next boyfriend with regards to Officer Higgins, okay, is in a position that she would have killed him. I don't see that there's a motive on, and that's why in this entire matter, it doesn't seem a motive
That plays into her favor, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't, because the elements are what you are. So when the jury gets the instructions, okay, the instructions tell you the elements of the crime, okay, and what the state has to be able to prove. All right, it doesn't say the state has to do a motive. And in fact, every closing I ever had was like, listen, I don't need to show you a motive. That's not the issue here. And that will come across, and that will be done, I'm sure, by at least the prosecution. The defense is going to try to play off of that and say, well, what's the motive? Ladies and gentlemen, this picture that he's trying to put together, the pieces are there, but they don't show a clear picture. And that fact that the picture is not clear means there's reasonable doubt. So that's how that goes. Now let's see what
it plays into her favor.
Don't forget Steve Scanlon. 2 days after John died, he went to Vanetti and said Brian and Colin beat him up, and Higgins was there. Scanlon wasn't there. Someone there told Scanlon. That started this. Right. Well, that's the point. Okay. Once again, it's one of those scenarios that it's the game of telephone. Okay. And we all know we've played that game as a kid. Starts out, John has a red briefcase. It ends up going, John killed his mother and axed over his entire family. Okay. That's not evidence that this is what I heard. He didn't see it. And it would make sense that, the defense is going to jump on that and try to prove it.
Can you hear me now?
Hey! I saw what you said. You should watch that.
Crazy. So, what were you guys talking about while I was gone?
Well, I was mentioning your blue eyes, and
That's good. That's
And
good. Did you
Jones-
mention this comment
about
by
Taylor
Deanna?
and Jonesy said they look bloodshot. So I was arguing with him, saying that they're as piercing as ever.
So, Vinny, I just woke my dog by laughing at you. Daisy Boo. Thank you, Daisy.
Boo.
Daisy Boo. So as you folks know, I'm on the road. I'm in Pensacola, and I'm in this beautiful suite. And I'm running this whole show from my phone. So we're not going to be able to have the Battle of the Bands for our theme song tonight. And it's difficult for me to get to the comments. And then what happened was I got a phone call and it muted me. So I figured it out.
The reflection behind you, Vinny, it looks like an illuminated cross. The way, and I think it's lamplight in a mirror, but that's the look it has. If you look into the monitor,
Yes, I could see that.
so yes,
God bless you.
I see there's a roll of quarters next to the bed. Is the bed that kind that it vibrates with the quarters?
When I was a kid, my dad used to take me on truck driving trips from time to time, and we would stay in weird motels. And I was a kid, I didn't understand anything. And there was a coin-operated machine on the bed, and I kept I kept begging him for quarters because I wanted to pump quarters in and see what it does. And he was very embarrassed, and he didn't want to, let me use it because it was for reasons that I did not realize at the time. But it wasn't nearly as cool as the motel we stayed in, where it had a coin-operated radio.
Nice.
Yeah, back in the day, they had things like that. When I was in Baltimore at the bus station on an overnight once in the late 70s, they had a coin-operated TV. You could watch Court TV by pumping quarters in.
That is not, I love that. I love that. Shock and horror. Shock and horror. She ran to Higgins for a little attention after John ditched her New Year's Eve. It was a few weeks of banter, and then they got back on track. So again, so now let's go back to the defense, right? Because the defense is alleging something here as well. They're not just sitting back saying, "Oh, prove the case." They're saying something else happened here. But I don't understand the motive. I don't understand the connection between Colin Albert, who is 17 years old, the nephew of the homeowner, and Brian Higgins, who is the homeowner's friend and also John O'Keefe's friend, allegedly. I don't understand why those two would together have anything to do with this, and what reason. Like with Colin Albert, what we've heard is that they used to be neighbors, right?
Right.
And maybe he cut across John's lawn, and John was particular about his lawn, or he used to throw beer cans in his lawn, or he
Yeah,
flipped
I heard
a
that.
bird once when he was driving past him. I don't know, but nothing to the level. So maybe that gets back to what people are saying, which is like, they went after him. Everyone's drinking. Maybe people had words. Things got out of control. But that's different than an ambush, like because the defense said ambush. And to me, ambush is we're planning it, we're plotting it. And when you come in, boom, we pounce. Not like you come in, hey, something happens. Ambush is different.
You guys, as the attorneys, do you think that if they were less specific about why they did it, like if they didn't say that it was an ambush, if they just said, we don't know what happened, but something happened there, and the thin blue line, they decided they were going to like cover this thing up, rather than say that it was an actual ambush, wouldn't it be better to leave it like open-ended on why they did it?
Well, I mean, part of this case has been to whoop up excitement and controversy and get the people in the streets, agitated and supporting and drawing lines and things along those lines. So you have to go with that. If you go forward with a lukewarm, theory,
so
you get a lukewarm response.
You need to paint a broader picture.
Okay. Right. You need to make something that's going to get people motivated, and they're going to get people upset. And they're going to, get the people out there like Turtle Boy and the rest of the crowd, saying that this is a setup.
Gen X Granny says, Vinnie Politan, just sit there and look pretty. Alan Jonesy can handle it.
Again, big thanks to Gen X, Frankie Figs, and Melly.
Figs, my man.
And Melly, I'm telling you, you'd show up at the damn concert. There will be drinks flowing. Okay.
Drinks flowing. By the way, I'll be at CrimeCon tomorrow. Gen X will be there, so we're gonna get to connect. It should be awesome. I'm just trying to get. This is very difficult to find all the comments here. It's very
especially because he usually finds the ones that are, about him. And they're going a little too quick on his phone, so he can't see it. And I can see it, but I'm not slowing him down.
For those who may want to see you other than at the the convention itself, like what hotel are you staying in, Vinny? Let us know.
What is that, Jonesy? What is that? Like right now or in Nashville?
Well, when you're in Nashville, it's the No-Tell Motel.
Well, if you're at CrimeCon, you're going to see me because I'll be walking through the lobby. I mean, that's how you meet people. You meet them at the meet and greet, right? But you bump into people. You're sitting down. You're eating a nice arugula salad or something, and you see somebody. I mean, that's just the way it works. And Jonesy, you're supposed to ask me what's arugula.
What's arugula?
It's a vegetable.
A vegetable? How many syllables are in vegetable?
Yeah, well, that's
right?
Well, let's see. 30 days past September, April, June, then month.
Jackie M.
Carry the one. Don't forget to carry the one.
Hi, Vinny.
Saying hello.
Wow, and Jonesy, just saying hello.
Hey, Jackie M.
So, but
all right. So let's measure the two motives. Who has a? Oh wait, we got one more here. This is from Suzanne Galasso.
Hey.
Suzanne Galasso, how you doing? How you
We
doing?
got, let me tell you something. Vinny Galasso, okay, Vinny Galasso, Bosco Boy, also the municipal prosecutor in a couple two-tree towns in Jersey. I love your show. Common sense, exclamation. Please, people, she was drunk. She probably doesn't remember. I consider it a horrible tragedy.
Hey, Vinny, what are those Court TV cards you have?
These are just blind court TV cards. There's nothing on the other side.
Oh,
So I'm doing this show from Crime Con, so I may go like
Yeah.
talk
Pick a
show.
card.
You ever see like in the talk shows they have like their little cards with their notes?
Yes.
So I may put my little notes on here.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm debating.
nice.
I'm debating.
You should like throw them out like picks for the guitar, like I used to do.
well,
Well-
it's all about signage, Vinny, as you remember from when we were together.
Yeah, it's signage. By the way, I did at the last Crime Con. I counted down top 10 reasons why I hate Casey Anthony, and I wrote one on each card, and then I gave them out to the crowd one at a time after I explained them.
Did you toss them like Letterman?
No, what I did is I
You can't do that because if you end up hitting someone in the eye, then
yeah.
all of a sudden
It's
there
all
is
fun
a
and games, right?
liability.
By the way, we have over 2,000 people watching on this little pop-up Tangent
that's
podcast.
nice.
Unusual on a Thursday night. How about
Yeah.
that?
Well, Thursday night of a Ranger game too, by the way.
Ranger game, you got the Mets going on.
Yeah, a lot of people watching
Who
a lot
cares?
of our viewers watch the Rangers, Al. Like, are you kidding me?
Look, I don't like the Rangers. I'm a
I got
Devils fan.
a question I have to handle right here.
Okay,
Vinny,
why do
why
you
do you
put
put
Nick
Nick Rocco alone up against
Plevin and Krauski?
Clinton and Krauski Jr.? Well, first of all, Nick Rocco can handle himself. Okay. I don't want to put like 15 guests on, then there's not enough time for everybody. And if you've noticed Krauski Jr., he is not all in on one side of this thing. Now, he doesn't believe there's a conspiracy, but he's not believing the charges that prosecutors have here. So while him and Nick often go toe to toe on certain things, there's other things where he's not going toe to toe. But really, he's a really good lawyer, and I wanted to make sure I had at least one lawyer in the mix. And we've had other lawyers in there as well. We had Peter Ellikin in there as well. And then when we were live up in Boston, we had other lawyers as well. But I need a local lawyer in there because certain things come up, and I want to make sure that I have the local. Like, that's important, Al, isn't it? Like,
Also,
the
they
one thing
talk
about
funny.
law is the locals will know certain things, whether it's the state law or the way the charge is going to be, the way the juries do things there.
And the
Look
place to
at
get the
this.
best lunch.
Look at this comment from, who's this, Claudia? Vinny.
You look like Brian Koberger. Ooh, look at that.
Who's Brian Koberger?
From
Your own
the Idaho
friend,
student case.
Oh,
Jonesy, you don't know his name because you watch my show and I never
and
say
you don't
his
say
name.
it.
I
Yes.
never say it.
I
And I'm
respect
glad
that.
that you said that, Jonesy, because now I'm winning.
I
I
respect
don't want
that.
people to know his
I
name.
know people like that. Jack Douglas, one of the last people to see John Lennon, who was his producer, very close. I've had him on many times, refuses to mention the name of Mark David Chapman.
Yeah, yeah.
And he will never
No, no.
mention his name. And
Like-
that's great.
Well, people like this, they do it for a reason. And it's the same thing with the
Yeah.
school shooters. They're doing it for a reason. But here's the thing about this guy, the accused Idaho students guy, whose name I won't mention, but you can see it on the screen right now.
You know, you
Vinny
kind of
looks
look
like
like him. You do kind of look like him.
Suspect.
The guy, he does not have blue eyes, first of all.
Sure, he
Second of
does.
all,
One blue this way, one blue that way.
So there is this video of him that just every time I watch it, I can't stop like this is ridiculous. So everything took place in Washington State, right?
Right.
And he's from Pennsylvania. So after it happens, He's driving back with his father in the car, and they're driving from Washington State to Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They get pulled over in Indiana.
That's right.
Really?
Right. And the officer sees, the Pennsylvania plates. They say they're from Washington State, right? And the officer says, well, where are you going? And his answer is, to get some Thai food.
Wow.
I'm like, you drive from Washington State to Indiana to get Thai food? It's obvious he wasn't asking you like where are you going? He's asking like where are you going?
Well, okay.
You're driving from Washington.
During the investigation, of the Kennedy assassination, okay, they asked David Ferry if he could give his whereabouts at the time of whether he was in Dallas. And he said, no, I had driven to Houston. And they said, why? He goes, to go ice skating. So that was his excuse. He was not in the area because he went to Houston to go ice skating from Dallas. Which is a nice.
Okay.
Vinny,
Got a
have you
great
ever had
question
Thai
from
food?
Melly, one of Vinny's angels, one of our mods, the mod squad. Your opinions on BH Brian Higgins taking the trash to the military base. So
Okay.
this is a problem. This is the biggest problem that prosecutors have, is that Brian Higgins, there is something about his phone, right? So there's accusations that they're communicating that night, but Brian Higgins' phone, there's a court order to not do anything to it.
Right.
And like the day before he gets the court order or something, he gets a new phone, takes the SIM card, destroys it, throws it out, puts it in the trash, then takes the trash to the military base.
Well, he doesn't say that. And when he's on the stand, he kind of says he didn't know what he did with the SIM card or what the situation was. And then he said, listen, the reason why I got rid of the phone was because somebody had gotten my number, had putting it up on the internet, and because I was involved in an investigation, and I have nothing on my phone because, one, I'm not married, two, I don't have kids, I don't have any memories on my phone, so it wasn't a big deal to me. Getting rid of it was no big deal. I did it. I got a new number. I got a new phone. And why'd you throw it off in a military base? Well, that's where I was at the time, and that's why I decided to trash it. So that was his excuse on the thing. Once again, Vin, if there was something, anything, he's not testifying. So that's why I as much as that's a weird situation, and it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. I'm
Well,
very,
what do you
very
think of this?
suspect.
What do you think of this? He's a police officer, or no, he's not a police officer. He's with the DEA at this point, right?
Right.
He's with the DEA. His phone is going to be subpoenaed. So whatever's on his phone, the feds are going to get. The feds are going to get. So to me, it seems like, as I'm watching this, the logical conclusion I'm coming to in my head is that there's something on the phone that he doesn't want the feds to see. Now, it could be related to what happened to John O'Keefe. It could be completely unrelated, but it could still be something that he doesn't want him to see. Now, here's why it's a problem. It makes the prosecution case look dirty. Jurors don't like that. Prosecutors, you got to have a clean case. Clean.
But there is never a 100% clean case.
No. There's a difference between a sloppy investigation and purposely doing something to your phone. If a criminal defendant ever did that, you know what the prosecution would be up jumping up and down talking about, because they do it every time, and rightfully so. But if a witness is doing that, then I think the defense is permitted to jump up and down about it as well. It doesn't mean that it had anything to do with John O'Keefe, but it makes the prosecution case dirty, and one of their witnesses look like they're hiding something. It doesn't matter what they're hiding. It's irrelevant what they're hiding, but it's a prosecution witness. We're the good guys. We're the truth seekers. Us and our witnesses can't be dirty hiding stuff.
Hence the reason why you don't push the motive.
But
Because
it's not even motive.
the loss of the
It's a
phone,
witness with
the
a
loss
real
of the-
problem.
but the loss of the phone really only goes to motive.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not lost.
Well,
it's deep sixed.
well,
Okay?
it's thrown away. Okay.
And the SIM card is destroyed. Who takes out the SIM card from their phone? Do you?
Well, when I get a new phone, I put the SIM card into my new phone.
Right. You don't destroy it.
No, I would not destroy it.
Jonesy, where are your SIM cards,
once
Jonesy?
again, Ben, why is he testifying if he's got something to hide? That's right. That's exactly right. It's in the cards.
It's in the cards.
It's in the cards.
I of course would save my SIM card. I wouldn't know even how to do it. I would take it to the phone place
I just go to the phone guy.
and have
and he
go
does
to the
whatever he
phone guy and
does.
have them do it. But by the
And
same
they
token,
charge you for that.
by the same token, I don't have anything on my phone that I need to hide. Like if somebody was going to look at my phone, whether it be one of you guys or like authorities, doesn't matter. There's nothing there. Maybe I say something about somebody that I don't want them to hear, but it's nothing incriminating or
John,
bad.
you had mentioned to me about the pictures that you had from Vinny from the other hotel room he was in.
Well, it's insurance. Why do you think I'm back with Vinny after all these decades? I needed a little something to keep myself in his graces.
Al, I'm having trouble reading this comment. Can you read it?
Okay. Vinny, it just disappeared. Vinny, you are ridiculously, horrendously stupid because there isn't evil inside you. You need to get some struggle to escape the face because it's a disgrace. Folks, why would you say that about my friend Vinny? Say what you want about me.
Al, Jonesy, can you read it? You have
Well,
glasses.
I was actually wondering why you asked Al to read it, and then
I know why he asked.
Immediately realized you wanted to force him to say, "Vinny, you are handsome because there is an evil inside you, struggling to escape from that face, Vinny."
This
Pose,
is my best
strike a pose. That's not a pose. I mean, it's a pose, but strike a nice pose.
Oh,
well, look at him. Look at him. He's had practice. You look like Burt Reynolds.
Thank you. In the longest yard.
I was
or
thinking.
as they say,
I'm wearing my.
this is the longest he had. The
For those
longest
of
he
you
had.
scoring at home, I'm wearing my Pokai jersey. Okay, in commemoration of Al Bundy. 4 touchdowns in one game.
Right. Well, Vinny, when you said you like to have local attorneys and stuff like that, especially when you're in the Boston area, because they talk so cute. You want to have somebody on who says "yad, ka" and all that jazz.
Now you do. I agree, Vinny. You do need a guy who is a local. You always need a local. Gives it a nice flavor. Okay, it makes it. It's kind of nice to hear stories about the attorneys that are involved in the case and that they've had experiences with them. The judge, they know that the temperament of the judge, what the judge agrees with, what they don't agree with. So, I mean, it's always a good thing to have a local. And like I said before, where the best lunch places and the best dinner places are when you got a local with you.
We got Tooth Hurdy.
Wow. The CW isn't calling the lead investigator, and the Boston cop with a body in his yard doesn't come outside. Something is being covered up. Come on.
When I hear the allegations about it not being her, about it being like something that went on with the rest of the crew, it seems like it's right out of Copland, the theory, like something happens, something happens bad and they need to like make it go away.
Well, I was in that movie. So
we're on the editing room floor
here to me. I was in several scenes, which all ended up on the cutting room floor, but they were dramatic scenes at the time. And it was filmed around my house and in my neighborhood. And so I do appreciate you bringing that up, Jonesy, because I knew you were going to do that to give me a little boost since they keep saying all those nice things about Vinny.
Do you know whose house it was they shot up at the end? Was it someplace in the neighborhood?
Yes, it was in Cliffside Park. Mm-hmm. It was right next to Mayor Calabrese's house.
Of course. Hey, Deanna Bellina is pointing out Brian Albert got rid of his phone on the same day, 9/29. So the two guys that are butt dialing each other both get rid of their phones.
I don't like that term,
What?
butt dialing. I don't like that. I don't like butt. It's just it's not nice. Be nice.
What would you like to call it?
Accidental transmission.
Oh, that sounds
even worse.
that's worse. That sounds like someone's got a social disease.
Yeah, we all know that that's happened at least once or twice.
And that's nothing to clap about, Jonesy. Come on.
Ooh,
That's true.
All right.
Leprosy.
We've got another.
I'm not half the man I used to be.
That's a nice one. I like that.
Oh, how did I get leprosy? That was John Valby, folks. Did a show with him in Wildwood Crest, New Jersey.
All right, Cindy J.
Oh,
Vinny, I know
nice.
you don't believe this silly defense theory. No way.
Well, look, the defense has
Right
to
now,
get,
you got to show me a little more. You got to show me more. You got to show me more.
Let me ask you this: Do you think the prosecution needs to show you more as well?
well, the prosecution is going to be showing more. There's like 17 billion witnesses in this case.
Yeah. The prosecution, from my perspective, is not there yet. They're not there yet.
Well, you know, what's funny
They've
was
got problems. Anytime you have witnesses that you call in your case and they're doing things that are not right, it's a problem. Here's a great one. Can you read this, Al?
yes, I'd be happy to. I love arugula, Vinny.
But who's it from first? You got to say who it's from.
Oh, Michelle L. Okay. I love arugula, Vinny. Sad that I can't be there this weekend. JM said she had to tell KR she was even at 34 Fairview because KR thought she left JO at the waterfall, yet claimed it was KR idea to go there.
I'm so confused.
No. It's easy. I'll do it for you. So JM is Jennifer. So I have, just to give you an idea where my brain is tonight.
Where's your brain?
Yeah. In the last 4.5 days, I have filmed 4 episodes of Accomplice to Murder, done 65 scenes.
Wow.
In 4 different cities. I have had 1 flight delay of 4 hours, 1 flight delay of 2.5 hours. So I am not sharp right now. I'm not sharp, Jonesy. But
however, that's kind of like a dream job of being a game show host. You bang out like all the shows, like in like, you know, you work like a couple of days and you got a season.
For those of you scoring at home, Jennifer McCabe is the one.
McCabe. That's what I couldn't remember was McCabe. And I, it's because my brain's fried right now. But no, Jones, it's not like being a game show host because I have to run to the airport and go city to city to city.
Yes, a traveling vagabond, if you will.
Yes.
Leaving on a jet plane.
And I'm not flying private like Pat Sajak would.
Yes.
Or Vanna.
Or who?
Vanna White.
Oh, Vanna, for sure. Okay, so here, let's go back to the beginning of this case. When this first happened, it was a story about a woman who had too much to drink and was accused of striking her boyfriend with her car. Period. Right? And to me, that's like, all right, I've seen that before. Maybe the facts are a little bit different, but somehow this evolved from that to, this was all done on purpose. And to me, I'm having a hard time buying that.
The alcohol thing is what they had the witness on, I believe it was Tuesday, and they were talking about the alcohol in her system. that at about 9 o'clock in the morning, she had a BAC level of 0.09, which is higher than the alcohol level, which is 0.08. But then what they did was a thing called extrapolation, which means that they take it and then they go back in time
Right.
and they say, okay, at the moment that she would have hit him, she had a 0.13. Okay, because alcohol burns off at a certain rate. It burns off at the same rate on any person. And so they're able to step back and look at it. Now, extrapolation is not allowed as a defense in New Jersey, because what we used to do, okay, as defense counsel, we would take a look at a situation and say when the guy was at the police station, he was at a 0.10. Okay, but at the scene, okay, because alcohol, you get to a point and then you start to come down. At the scene, he was at a 0.07.
Yeah.
So it was, in that time. So that's what they've done, extrapolate.
Yeah, and I've seen the defense to DUI. The guy gets into it. He gets into the accident, right? And then they're waiting for police. He's, oh yeah, that's when I started drinking.
Yes,
I had a case like that where they found and the defendant's last name was Budweiser. Believe it or not.
That's excellent. Wasn't that also a court TV case in the last few years? Like out in a rural area, a guy like was leaving a singer in the neighborhood. And
guy was a millionaire down.
Yeah.
He had a polo field. He owned a polo field.
And he claimed he started drinking afterwards.
Yeah. He said, yeah, I had some drinks afterwards because I was so upset.
That's a valid defense.
So what you say, Al, about her level of intoxication and all that, well, that does play into the prosecution because it could have been an accident or it could have been like, an alcoholic rage. But am I correct that most everybody involved in this situation had been hitting it hard that night?
Oh, yeah.
And were loaded?
Yeah. Getting ready for the blizzard. There's a blizzard coming in. Yeah. We got a blizzard coming in. It was coming in on Saturday. It's Friday night. This is going to be the last night we could be out the whole weekend. All the activities are going to be canceled all weekend. So we partied a little bit.
We'd have a hurricane party. I guess there they have blizzard parties.
We'd have a blizzard party too. We've had a lot of big snowstorms.
We could do that as well. Sure.
Hey, Michelle Sutton says the butt calls. Do you like butt call instead?
No, I don't like the word butt.
But it's got 2 T's.
I'd rather you say ass.
Oh,
Jonesy,
that's not a curse. That's not a curse.
It's a family show,
Vin. It's not.
Jonesy, we'll call it astronaut. Okay, we use that way.
Yeah, the butt calls between them at 2 and 2:30 a.m. Like the time of the butt calls is a problem too, and you've got butt calls and then the phones are. It just doesn't. It's not a good look. Oh, this is great.
Neither is having a phone in your back pocket when you're a lady.
Heisenberg. What could possibly enable her to immediately locate him in the middle of the blizzard? The first police officer had to use his cruiser spotlight in order to see them when he arrived.
So here's the argument, right? That the 3 ladies are looking for John. You got McCabe and you've got the other one, again, Fried. She's in the back. Karen Reed's in the back in the middle. And the 2 women in front saying, like, we're driving down the street. And she's the only one that sees John on the side of the road and is screaming, stop the car, stop the car. And then she runs out and pulls up his shirt, pulls up her shirt, and lays on top of him.
What?
Yeah.
What
I'm making it up, Jonesy.
What do you think the reasoning behind that was?
You keep his body warm.
To warm the
body warm.
Wow. So if I go out there in the snow and just lie around, I might... Well,
if your body's 98.6 degrees, the warmth of your body will warm the body in the cold.
Wow.
Right,
Al? I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yes.
But what they're saying is the reason she ran out to him is because she knew where she had left him the night before. So
and let me tell you, that does seem a little suspicious. Okay, yeah. that it's like, I mean, how many people have done that where it's like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? I don't know where my phone. Let me find it, and then look, it's over here.
But can I say this? but can I say this? You can't have the prosecutor arguing out of both sides of his mouth, because he can't on one hand say there's no way Karen Reed could have seen him, and then on the other hand say that Julie Nagel saw the black blob, the 6-foot black blob. Like, if Julie Nagel can see it, why can't Karen Reed, if Karen Reed is actually looking for him, while Julie Nagel just happens to see the 6-foot black blob? So I think it's a tough argument for the prosecutor.
I also think it's weak. Like, if I run a jury and that's what you're giving me. I mean, I know, yes, it does seem very suspicious. Oh, there it is. That's very suspicious. But also, it's not very solid.
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting.
Everybody goes to silence when I talk.
From Paulie. Paulie says, any chance you do a trial watch along for a day?
Oh.
So what I would have to do is I would put the feed up in this little box. I put the feed up, then we have little boxes on the side, and then we talk and chat as things are happening in the courtroom.
Oh,
we're gonna put our feet up and watch a trial.
And watch a trial there. It's a great idea. Thank you, Paulie.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be fun. It would take a lot of time though, in the middle of the day, when I'm preparing for my show, and you're going to court, and Jonesy is doing his radio shows. But we could try.
Could you maybe get a feed of like? Is it possible you can maybe get a feed of like a day court situation that we could drop into for like an hour? Or is that like publicly distributed?
Yeah, it could be one of the trials that we have on Court TV. But I like that idea. Write that down, Jonesy, so we don't forget. Write that down.
Jennifer Soube likes that idea too. She wants us to do that, and I listen to Jennifer all the time, so I'm all for it.
All right. Can you read this one, Al? Can you read this from, I think it's Tara Rayner.
Possible John O'Keefe confronted Higgins. Brian Albert, a hothead, helps his pal Higgins. An awful lot of collaborating timelines for no involvement.
Okay. All right. So that's not an ambush. Okay. So this is something different than what I heard from the defense. But okay. So people are drinking, and I don't know. I don't drink, right? You guys obviously have had at least a couple beers through the years, right?
That's fair.
That's fair, right? So, and what I've noticed from people who do drink is there's different types of reactions that people have.
Yes.
Some people drink, they get very, very sentimental and teary-eyed, like.
And some get beer muscles.
And then other ones get the beer muscles, and they get a little confrontational.
Well, my general theory on that, Vinny, is it's a magnification of the true self. You can't wake up the next day and say, I'm sorry I was drunk because I was like mean and angry and nasty. Because the person who's not like that is lovey-dovey and saying like, oh, I love you, man. You can't really use that excuse. However, you can get so drunk that you're not yourself.
But
right. So in that moment of inebriation, right? Do you know you're inebriated? And do you know what you're doing?
You know you're inebriated, but you don't necessarily know how inebriated or how embarrassing you are being to yourself if you go too far. If you're slightly inebriated, you're tipsy, but there's a point when you think you've got it under control and you don't.
But my problem is this. That would have started at the bar. It doesn't start. It would have started at the bar.
Well,
bar. It would have started at the bar, okay? And then it would have been, look, cooler heads prevail. John says, I'm not going to the house because there's some issues going on here. It didn't come completely out of the blue once they got to the house. It doesn't make any sense.
Unless it's not what both sides say it was, and it was just an escalation of anger and not not pre-planned.
But there
Wait a
wasn't
minute,
any
wait,
anger.
wait.
That could happen after
Doesn't
the
happen
bar,
at
at
the
the party
bar.
when
It-
everybody's gone.
Well, wait, but first of all, no one says they see him in the house, so it had to have been outside, okay? Because everyone says the same thing. Didn't see him at the house. They saw him at the bar. They were all at the bar drinking. That's when things were getting going and everything else. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, let's continue the party at my house, okay? If there was going to be bad blood, it would have started there. It would not have all of a sudden developed outside in front of this guy's house. Doesn't make
Well,
sense.
And that's
Okay,
why, but I think that's why they've
but
gone with
who's
the
saying
ambush.
he wasn't there? Who's saying he wasn't there? The people who
Everyone.
were there.
Everyone who
Right.
testified said the same thing. There wasn't one person that said, "Oh yeah, I saw him. He was over there by the onion dip." Okay, there was not one
Copland,
person.
baby,
that
it's
testified.
Copland.
But that's what you got, and you got no proof he was in the house.
Laura says, Vinny, do not be a Karen.
Ooh.
How could he? I mean, what's the male equivalent of a Karen?
Something must have happened, Vin. You must have slipped.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
Is
think
there
it
a
was
male
It's a very
equivalent?
divisive case, so people.
Vinny, don't be a Karen Carpenter.
All right, you want to? Who's another one from Heisenberg? I love this Heisenberg. That's from,
from,
Breaking Bad.
For Breaking Bad, yeah, exactly. When Jennifer did that search, she did it after, in all capitals, John was found from the same search bar and window that was left open from 227. That's why it reverts back to the original timestamp. Karen's guilty.
Okay, this is the Google search, right? So,
Right.
so this is really the foundation of the defense, is that Jennifer McCabe Googled how long to die in the cold at 2:27 a.m. And the explanation, well, the experts for the defense are going to say, well, including an FBI expert, we believe, is going to say that's because that's when the search was done. So if the search is done at 2:27, then there's no way that Karen Reed could be responsible. It's obvious it's someone in the house. What they're saying is if you go to your phone and it's nighttime and you open up a window and you Google, did the Mets win? And then you get the answer, which says no.
No.
Unfortunately for us. Right? But then you go to sleep, Jonesy, and then you wake up in the morning, Jonesy, and you want to know, did the Knicks win? And then you type in, did the Knicks win in that same window? And then we take a look at some of the data from your phone. It'll look like you searched for the Knicks the night before when you really search for the Mets. If you search in that same window and you just go over Mets and you replace it with, did the Knicks win?
Really? There's no, with all the technology, they can't pinpoint the exact moment of things like that?
Well, I think they can based upon a further dive. It's this special software that they're using. But we're going to have a real battle of the experts on this because the defense has their own. But I think, this is an issue. If the Google search, if the defense wins the issue with any juror, they win the case with that juror. But if they don't win it, it doesn't mean the prosecution wins the case. But they have clearly cut the legs from underneath the defense.
Somebody made a comment that is like, "Al, you don't believe he was in the house." Well, it's not a question of what I believe. It's a question of what I've heard as to the testimony. And the testimony thus far has said he is not in the house. So I can't go, like the thing is this, folks, when you're a juror, you're not allowed to think outside the box. You have to take the facts that have been established in front of you, and you have to go forward with that. Okay, what I might think is absolutely irrelevant to this hearing. Okay, I am not allowed to think that. I am only allowed to tell you what I can prove and what has thus been said. Now, you may not believe them. Okay, that you can say if there's inconsistency or there's a thing called.
Al, are you lying now, or were you lying back then?
Yes, it's like it's at the same hand you used to beat your wife. Those kind of comments. Okay, and those things come in.
Would you really ask somebody like that? If somebody had been charged at one point with assault, spousal assault, could you actually ask somebody that on the stand if it was relevant?
it depends.
Because
I
that would be
mean,
powerful. If I were on a jury and you said that, it would be like, okay,
it would be powerful, but I mean, sometimes it can backfire on you.
sure.
So you got to be careful. And depending on what what the stakes are, which is in a case like this, the stakes are huge. You're telling about a person that's going to be in jail for the rest of her life if she's convicted.
By the way, let's remind everybody, if we could all do it at once, it'd be great. Folks that happen to be on YouTube, if you could hit the like button, it helps a lot. It helps a ton. Hit the like button, smash it. If you're on Facebook, share. Sharing is caring on Facebook. If you're on Twitch,
share, that's fair.
Yep. And on Twitch, I don't know what you do. And on X, you re-exit or you retweet it or whatever they call it these days. But thank you. Michelle L. has another question here for you, Al. Can you read that?
What about the prosecutor tried to act like the phone starts counting when the phone starts ringing instead of after it's answered? Come on now.
So this is like you get the call, you get the readout with how long a call is.
Right.
And does that time include the ringing time, or does it just start when there's a connection? It's when there's a connection.
I think it just starts when there's a connection, because I've checked. Sometimes I'm on the phone too long, and I'm like, God, that took so long. And I look, and I never see that timer because if you don't answer, it's not going to time it either.
Exactly. It comes down to nothing. So either you get you either connect with the answering, not the answering machine, but the voicemail.
We could try this right now. Okay. We'll do the experiment right now. Okay. On this situation, I will call Jonesy because I know if I call Vinny, there's going to be a situation where he will go blank again. All right, Jonesy, I'm going to be giving you a call right now.
Sounds good.
All right. And
you should block him, Johnny.
Well, first I'll let it ring a couple times.
One ringy dingy. I don't hear it.
No, because I'm still trying to figure out how to use this on my new phone because I threw one out in the army barracks as I was heading out of here.
The truth of the matter is, he never programmed me into his phone.
Yeah.
No, I do. I will tell you your friggin' phone number if you want.
867-5309.
I'm just trying to figure out to do it the easier way.
Tommy, the guy who wrote that song is a listener of mine, actually. Contacted me one day. I was very excited.
By the way, we got something here from Get to Know Stop. I would love an opportunity to interview you sometime. My channel is about getting the penalties changed to much more harsher sentences for all pedos. So, yeah, absolutely. The best way to contact me,
201.
You can contact me through the Mod Squad. The DM's just not working great. You could maybe try my Twitter direct message. It doesn't get lost in the sauce there. Or LinkedIn. Who came up with that name? LinkedIn.
I believe it was Abraham.
The only people that join LinkedIn are people that have jobs, and you're supposed to use it to like get other jobs and stuff like that. But once somebody has a good job, nobody's going back to LinkedIn. So it's like kind of like a useless thing.
I'm going with the experiment now. Okay, Jonesy.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Ready, willing, and able.
It says calling.
Okay. So should I give it a moment?
Yeah, give it because right now it's not showing any time now. So now answer, and now you answered it, and then time goes on. So that is
the experiment has been completed.
You got to connect, right? You got to connect.
Yep. The timer starts when the call connects.
So Al, what's your city of birth?
Englewood, New Jersey.
And what's your mother's maiden name? Al, he hung up.
Listen, I'm calling from the IRS. You owe money. Go to Target and get a gift card and mail it to us right now.
Whenever they call, I always do the same thing. I always go, "What are you wearing?" So
it's very sad that people fall for that. but often it's elderly and stuff like that. And may I say,
Yeah.
there is a special place in hell for people
those
that
people.
take advantage of people in that situation, like the elderly.
Isabel Justel Rankin, am going to bed knowingly KKKKKKKK Isle of Mull.
Whoa.
I don't know what that means, but there's the message. I'm not sure what that means.
AKK took my baby away. She took
Baron
her
Mikhail
away.
Cicluna was from
Away
the Isle
from
of
me.
Malta.
I want to apologize if I didn't get to any of your super posts here. It's because I'm doing everything on the phone and it's just not as easy. All right. What is this?
It's True After Dark Records. It's Boston, Vinny. Boston.
Boston. It's Boston.
Forget it, Jay.
Boston.
It's Boston.
Yep. And by the way, this is the first time we've seen After Dark.
After
That's
dark.
true. That's true.
Final-
And After Dark. Maybe
Great
that's it.
photo.
We're doing the day, and After Dark doesn't come out until.
Oh my. No.
Well, that makes sense to me now. It all.
Hello, After Dark.
All right.
So-
Now, I think I got one more. Oh, here's Deanna Bellina. What does she say about Higgins?
Higgins said he saw a tall guy in the house.
Yes.
Hmm.
So there is one potential sighting of
Oh,
John O'Keefe.
A tall guy doesn't say it's O'Keefe, and 6 foot is not necessarily tall.
Oh, he's a tall guy. He's over 6 feet tall. He's like 6'2".
Okay.
Big guy. Big guy. That's why I don't
I
think
thought he
Colin
was like 6
Albert
foot.
could have done
I thought he
anything
was-
to him.
I
I
was
don't
like
think Colin Albert could beat him up.
well,
you know
it
what?
depends on your level of intoxication, too.
It's not a question of that. I mean, look, a
You know what it
cop
takes
knows
to take
how
down
to
a Boston
defend
cop?
Sure, it
himself.
is. The toughest guy in the world, if he's like plastered, can be taken down by the weakest.
Look, you know what? I mean, if you've got Batista, okay, and he's drunk, he's still going to kill you. Okay,
Batista,
I don't
the
care how
former
drunk.
heavyweight champion of the world.
You know, I mean, yeah. If you get, you know, even a boxer who's intoxicated still knows how to box.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not, you know, I mean, he may not be able to defend himself against a metal bar, but I got to tell you, that
Okay. So
big is
I'm
big.
So I'm watching your show one night, Vinny, and you're showing some testimony. And the kid says that he got these scrapes on his knuckles from falling. And I immediately thought, if you fall, and believe me, I've fallen, you try to land on your palms to try to like press against yourself. If you can't get to your palms, maybe you go down like this. But how do you go down like that on knuckles? So I had mentioned it to Al, and Al said, like,
story, right? It's a fishy story.
I mentioned it to Al, and you
Or
said,
you're
like,
holding something.
you said, like, you know, that kid couldn't have took him down. I'm not saying he took him down, but I'm saying that maybe he wasn't being truthful on the stand when he said what happened to his knuckles. How do you fall? How do you fall on this part as opposed to this part or the desired part, the palm?
If you're holding something, you may not be able to open your hand up.
But you're
When he
going to
was
go down
holding
like
something
that?
with his left hand.
You're going to go down
What?
like that?
He said he was either holding like a beer or his phone or
Yeah.
something.
Right, I
Okay.
didn't
Left
remember
hand.
which. Yes.
And he fell. And you know, he had his hand full. Look, weird things have happened. I mean, you know, there's no way this guy's beating up that
Let
cop.
me ask you, Al, if he had
No,
gotten
but maybe he's not being truthful in that answer.
What?
Al, if he had gotten seriously hurt, right, walking up that driveway, could he go after the homeowner's policy?
Yes.
Yeah. See? Here's my card, folks. Give me a call.
You know my motto, Vin. Have a fall, give me a call. If you're in a crash, I get your cash. Those are my trademarks.
What does Furious have to say tonight? I see Furious.
Furious says Jen wanted Karen to drive with her. I think the crew wanted to ambush John with the text Karen sent to Higgins. Carrie said she didn't think much of Reed.
Kerry Roberts was with Jen McCabe and Karen Reed, the three ladies in the car. Interesting.
Well, she wouldn't think much of her, but let me tell you something. If I didn't think much of her, I wouldn't be in a car with her at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's
So you must
it's like
have
5:36. 5:36.
Okay, well, that's even worse.
Yeah, but
Okay.
everybody's concerned because John's missing. So that's and she's hysterical. Karen's hysterical. She's a
But
mess.
doesn't that tell you also that maybe he's well liked if everybody's concerned that he's missing?
Yeah.
Because if you don't like him, you say, good.
But everyone's looking for him. That's
Right.
the problem here. It gets right back to the whole point of the show. There's no motive in any direction here. To me, neither side is arguing the truth. That's the problem I have here. Because you know me, I just want the truth. Give me the truth. But see, if you're a prosecutor, you don't go after, well, what do I think I can get them on? It's like, well, what really happened here, and what is it, right? I would be much more comfortable with this prosecution if they had just brought charges relative to in Boston what the conduct would lead to, the conduct of being under the influence, striking someone and leaving the scene, because I think that's something you can prove here. I think that's much more provable based upon the evidence here. And to me, it's more married to the truth. I don't see either side's argument. I don't see the motive on one side or the other. And now the defense doesn't have an ethical obligation to the truth. We know that. They have an ethical obligation to their client, the defendant, but the prosecution has an obligation to the truth.
Well, the defense can't perpetrate a fraud upon a tribunal. Okay, the defense can't
perpetrate a fraud.
Yes, they cannot do that. Okay, and and somebody asked.
No, but
somebody asked the question.
You can go places that a prosecutor can't, and you know it.
But I'm not allowed to put people up there that are perjuring themselves. If I know they are
but
perjuring
you can make
themselves.
arguments that you know are not true.
No, I can throw theories, okay? But
Yeah.
I mean, that's to
You
get
can know that your client is guilty and make an argument that your client is not guilty.
I thought if you knew your client was guilty, I thought if you knew your client was guilty.
What? Wait. Go ahead, Al.
You have to establish whether or not the state has proven their case, okay? And you have to be able to take and say they need to do element A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, they have not done that.
Yes.
You never, ever, you would never say, okay, if you know your guy did it, you got to be very careful, because if you start saying that, you have an ethical.
You have an ethical obligation to never say if you know your client did it. That is the attorney-client privilege that can't be pierced. So when we talk about reality, Al, I want some reality here, Al. I don't want your fantasy land here.
Well, let me tell you something.
Reality. Take me behind the robe.
There is no reality without
I'll take
Al.
you behind the robe.
Okay, there is no reality without Al. Okay, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But
I speak the truth, and the truth is the rules are different for prosecutors because they have different obligations. Your obligation is to do everything you can to protect your client that is legal. A prosecutor, their job, their ethical obligation is not to convict someone. Their ethical obligation is justice, and the truth is what equals justice, not a conviction. Depends upon the case.
Just remember, Vin, in
Nothing
the end,
further, Your Honor.
At the end, justice is just us. Okay, that's what it is.
All right.
But, I mean, you still don't have the opportunity to lie in front of a court. You cannot lie to a judge. You cannot do those things.
Well,
okay.
Let me ask you this. Can you say that your client was the victim of some form of I don't want to say the word because we can't say the words. Being
framed?
touched in a very wrong way by your father if you don't intend on putting in any evidence of it in front of the jury. In your opening statement, can you say the reason that my client lies is because she was the victim of her father's, doing stuff to her when she was a child, and then during the course of the trial, put on zero evidence of it?
No, well, if you do that, you're going to be blown up by the prosecution at the end of the case. Okay.
Well, he wasn't, and she was found not guilty down in Orlando, Florida.
Well, Florida is not the norm. Okay.
Norm!
That's not the norm. And you folks out there, if you watch one of our earlier podcasts about why is it always Florida, okay, you'll see why I'm saying what I'm saying, because that place is just beyond the norm, beyond the pale. All right. I've seen verdicts in that place that I couldn't explain to you if I was, the smartest man in the world, and I'm only the second smartest. So that's how things go. I can't explain Florida ever.
Josie, can you read Michelle L's comment?
Yes. Jonesy gets it. Matt M. Group chat. The guy was never in the house. BA reply, exactly. Higgins said he saw a tall, dark-haired man in the house. I'm not even sure what I get, because I was saying...
You get it, Jonesy.
I was saying that maybe he was in the house, and people aren't admitting it.
Yeah. Well, that's what she's saying. You get it. Because Michelle L., that's what she believes here.
Well, thank you, Michelle L. Very nice that Michelle L goes on that.
What does Tamara have to say?
Tamara Bakor says, could be the cause of the fight inside might have been that Higgins was in the house and John was already suspicious per the text messages. If John is looking to get rid of her and wants it's gone its course, as his niece said in the court the other day, then by all means, why is he going to care? Okay. He wants her gone. He doesn't want to be with her anymore. And therefore, good riddance. Okay. If Higgins wants her, Higgins can have her. So I don't see how that works by any stretch of the imagination on this case. I rest my case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It's always important to do it with sort of like a Winston Churchill. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You have to do that, the witness for the prosecution.
Did you guys catch the last episode of Larry David this season?
No, don't tell me what happens.
Okay, well, it's a trial, and for that reason, you would love it. And there was a lawyer in it, a prosecutor in it, that reminded me very much of Al's act there. He was playing the good old boy Southern prosecutor who's friends with all the community.
Heisenberg is back.
Wait a minute. Wait. So Bo Ma says, Al, you're fired.
You're fired.
So Bo Ma, you can't afford my retainer. Don't worry about it, okay? Whoa.
Here's your retainer right here.
She asked the EMT how long someone can survive in the cold without a jacket in the ambulance, then asked Jennifer for assistance with her phone about hypothermia. Karen's guilty. Heisenberg. These are the biggest problems that Karen Read has. And I want to throw this out here because this is interesting. And I was thinking about this because I think about these things. No, I do. I think about these cases all the time, and it's very all-consuming. But when I think of the allegations that Karen Read has framed, and I look at some of the evidence that's being used, it's all connected to the actions of Karen Read herself. So if she's being framed, she's almost being framed by herself. Follow the bouncing ball here. Broken tail light. There's video of her backing her car into John O'Keefe's car. Does it cause the tail light to break? Well, the defense is saying yes. Well, that's being used against her. So so the broken tail light is begun by her. And she tells people about her broken tail light. Again, Karen Reed's words herself. Karen Reed, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Much like the Ralph Macchio confession in My Cousin Vinny. Again, her words being used as part of, like, if she never said anything, if she didn't back the car out, all of these things that are being used to frame her wouldn't exist. So it seems like the genesis of the best evidence against Karen Reed is coming from Karen Reed herself. Now, obviously, what the defense is saying is that it's being kind of twisted and turned a little bit. Like she was saying, could I have hit him? They're saying, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. She broke the taillight. They took the pieces of the taillight and then planted it at the scene. But it's her own actions that are part of the evidence that's being used against her. So it's almost as if she is doing a better job of framing herself than the people who are alleged to be framing her, because she runs out of the car. So like all the big pieces of evidence, alleged evidence being used, or it's the evidence being used against her, but the alleged evidence of the guilt is everything that she does herself, backing the car, making the statements, running out of the car. So I'm trying to figure out in my mind how to make that all make sense for either side. And if I think if the prosecution approaches it that way, I think it could help overcome some of the hurdles that prosecutors have in this case about an allegation that she's being framed when you take a closer look at some of the actions. Now, again, all those things that make the witnesses look like they're lying because it looks like they're not telling the truth, that they're hiding something, that doesn't go away. So that becomes part of what you need to overcome. So when I put my prosecutor hat on, which I didn't bring with me, which I was going to bring to CrimeCon, I have a prosecutor hat that I put on for these live streams. That's what I would argue to the jury. I would say framed, ladies. And again, I haven't made up my mind, folks, but I'm analyzing the case because that's my job. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, who framed Karen Reed? Karen Reed framed Karen Reed by her own actions. She's the one who talked about the broken tail light. She's the one who said, could I have hit him? She's the one who finds the body. She's the one acting hysterical. So if anyone framed Karen Reed, ladies and gentlemen, it's Karen Reed, but it's not a frame. It's just what she did and how she acted. Like that's the way I would present this to try to overcome. And I would do that in my rebuttal. I wouldn't do that in my first closing argument, but my rebuttal closing argument. That's how I would try to deal with and handle what the defense is going to put together in their closing argument. And I could do the defense too, but I'm not going to.
Based on what you just said, do you think that there are cases, and I bet there are, of prosecutors or defense attorneys who are being covered by Court TV who watch you and pick up clues and cues as to where they should go?
I know for sure it happened once.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long time ago. I was co-hosting with Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yes.
Yes, good old days.
And there was a case involving a payment of money. And it was like a ridiculous argument. And I don't remember the specifics, but I remember the moment on the air. The information was that someone had gotten this money in an envelope. And I took it, and the way the money was described, whatever the bills were, I brought in that money. So it was this huge stack that was like ridiculous and wouldn't work. Like I think it was you couldn't stuff it in an envelope, or for some reason there was something wrong about it, and it was a bad. It didn't make sense to me. So I did that on the air, and then during the closing argument, the prosecutor did it.
Wow.
And I was like,
cool.
Score.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it could have been a coincidence.
Nah. They watch you.
They watch. Yeah. All right. Let me see. We got so many comments. Ms. Bonilla, thank you so much, Ms. Bonilla.
Yay.
Ms. Bonilla.
We love Miss Bonilla. Let's see. We
I was
get
never a
through a
fan
few
of
more.
Bobby Bonilla.
What's
I was
that?
just thinking about him.
I was never a fan of Bobby Bonilla.
It's the first thing
Oh.
I thought of was Bobby Bonilla. I liked Bobby Bonilla.
Will KR testify? Al, that was the question. That's a very good question. I will tell you that 99% of the time, I do not want to put my defendant on the stand, but
That's because 99% of the time they're guilty.
no, not necessarily. It's just that the state has not proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt.
But they
And
did
I don't
it.
want to give them
They
any.
did it, so you don't want to put them on there because you don't want them to perjure themselves and you don't want them to be opened up to all their lies.
That's fair. Okay, that's true. But 99% of the time, I'm representing an innocent person, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, Ben? Weisenheimer. All right.
Well, they're all
So, you know, I have rarely, if ever, represented a guilty person. So, prosecution claim. All right. So, Leah M. Prosecution claims hit by a car and murder, yet no accident reconstruction expert on their witness list. Defense has at least one, if not two thoughts. It's a very valid point.
Well, my thoughts are that it's not. They would argue it wasn't an accident; it was on purpose. But I think they're going to rely upon the medical examiner and the.
Yeah, that's. I was going to say that they're going to get around that with the medical examiner, and they're going to say it was intentional, so it was not necessarily an accident per se. And they also, you don't want to make the word accident is not what the prosecution wants to hear. Okay, and that's not a word they're going to be showing to the jury because then that knocks it down from murder 2 to perhaps manslaughter.
Heisenberg is just on a roll tonight. What else is Heisenberg saying here?
Heisenberg says.
What did I say? Heisenberg is cooking tonight.
She confirmed. She even confirmed John having no coat on during her Nightline interview as well. That confirms the EMT's testimony about Karen questioning about hypothermia.
Well, but she saw the body, right? She was there with the body, so
that's
she
true.
would know like immediately what he's wearing, although he's partially covered in snow.
But he was also in the car with her, so
Right.
she would have been able to see that he didn't have a coat on at that point in time.
Can I say this though about these folks from Boston? They are tough. Like there's a blizzard coming, everyone's out, and like nobody's wearing jackets. Nobody's wearing jackets. They might have like a long sleeve shirt or something, but nobody. You don't see like me. I would have been all bundled up with the thing and the muffs and the gloves and
that's because you've been living down in Georgia and Florida too long. Okay, us manly men up north, a little cool weather ain't gonna be getting me running around like some sort of a bunny wearing all this type of fur. Windbreaker, baby. All I need.
I think we have a good one here, and this is from was it Lisa? Lisa C. Can we have a 22-second quiet time for Officer O'Keefe? 22 seconds. Thank you. I think we should. I think it's a great idea. I really do. The one thing about this case before we have the quiet time is that both sides have taken the posture that they are seeking justice for John O'Keefe. This isn't a typical defense that I see at Court TV all the time where the victim is attacked. So that's not happening here. That's not happening here. So let's take the 22 seconds though. Jonesy, you'll be the official timekeeper.
Time.
Yeah. I come back to what I was saying before. I mean, people who sign up to be police officers, like they sign up to do it. It's not a ton of money. Every day is potential danger. Doesn't matter what police force you're working on. Yet this guy's working in the city of Boston. That is no walk in the park. That's the real deal. And to be able to sign up to do that, and again, to me, it always comes back to the kids too, the way he stepped up. So we appreciate that, Lisa C. Thank you so much. All right, and we're almost time to wrap up here, guys. We're like at
yeah,
40 right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I got to go to sleep because I got to wake up early. I got to catch an early flight to Nashville. Now I wanted to go direct, and from Pensacola direct in the morning. I didn't have many options, so I'm going to be on Southwest, which means festival seating.
Oh.
What is festival?
Let me tell you though,
I would rather be on a flying troop ship. Okay.
What is festival seating?
You show up like a bakery and you get a number, okay, and then they go serving number four, and you go in on that. You go into the plane, you sit wherever you want. You see an open seat, you sit down. No. The tickets have like numbers, and then you go based on that, and then you get to pick your seat once you're going in.
Right. So if you have a lower number, you get to pick your seat first.
Earlier, right, exactly.
But let me tell you, I had another Southwest flight in this trip because I had to do direct. I had the lowest number because I never fly Southwest. So I got the lowest. I am the second to last person to get on the plane. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it goes like that.
Yeah. I'm the second to last to get on the plane. I walk in, front row, bulkhead, middle seat. Nobody wanted to be the monkey in the middle. I'm like, I could be a middle.
You could bother two people instead of one when you're in the middle. When you're by yourself, I mean, you could bother the guy to your left, the lady to your right. You could just talk all the way.
Yeah, but the middle also gets both armrests. Those are the rules.
I would rather be rowing in a Roman galley ship.
That's your rule. When the big guy pushes you out.
Sitting on a Southwest flight, that is the absolute worst experience ever. Oh,
let's just hope they're not watching right now when you board tomorrow and recognize you.
Megan Jenkins wants to submit a story. Working through the Mod Squad, Vinny's Angels.
Story.
Can you still hear me? Because I got a text.
Yes. Yeah. No, we hear you.
All right.
All right, Ben.
We're getting ready to wrap up. I think we have one more big comment though that I just have to get to before we go. Just give me 1 second. I'm scrolling as fast as I can. Thank you everyone for the amazing conversation. Let's see. Testified Colin wasn't there when John was there. Thank you so much, Linda M. Great point. Who's there at the same time is important in all of this. We got one more big one. I'm trying to find it. This is hard. This is really hard to do on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Al, you're an artist, not a liar.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
From Leah. You're an artist. My daddy's a liar. Daddy's a what? He's a liar. What? Yeah, he goes to court. He's a liar. Paulie, what is Vinny's personal opinion of guilt? Don't have one yet. My personal opinion, though, where I'm kind of sitting on this is I don't think either side is arguing for what actually happened right now. Neither side has convinced me. Thank you, Suzanne Galasso. Awesome job tonight.
Hey, Susan Galasso.
So if neither side convinces you, then, it's like the champ wins kind of thing, then she wins.
Yeah, but there's lesser included.
Tie goes to the runner.
What do we got here? We've got Quitted G. If anyone put John in the house, then that presents an even bigger issue for all of them. Way too many coincidences. In one case for me, bringing this case to trial was unethical. I'll tell you what, a lot of people, and these are people that aren't necessarily connected to the area, that are watching this on Court TV, and there's a divide, there's a split. You go to the Court TV newsroom, there's a big split, and sometimes people are bouncing back and forth day to day how they feel about it.
I watch a lot of your trials.
Good. If you're the prosecution, it's not good.
If I could just say
your trials, and it sure seems to me that this, there are both sides have have their supporters and it's split down the middle. It's usually not
Okay.
like that, unless
I
it's
got a
it's
more important thing right here. Leah Yamazaki, are all three of you from New York? How could she come up with that?
If you
We're
were
from
not from
Jersey, for God's
if you're
sake.
not from Jersey, I can see how you can make that mistake. It's similar. Our my accent. And
Yeah.
I've fallen more and more into it over the years. I got rid of it for a while when I first started broadcasting, but now I just let it
Embrace it,
slide.
baby.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Jersey boys, Jersey boys, Jersey boys.
Jackie M, what about the video of Karen breaking her tail light, then the tail light piece on top of the snow at the crime scene after the blizzard? Makes no sense. These are the problems that the prosecutor has.
Yep.
But I will say this: like, if you're trying to prosecute this case, and Big Girl for Life, will KR testify, Al?
Yeah, well, Big Girl for Life, we haven't seen you in a while, so thank you for coming back on, and we missed your comments. And will she testify? That's a very, very interesting question. I don't know at this stage of the game. You got to wait and to see where the prosecution case is going, and then you make the decision at that point in time. So it's way too early to tell.
Big question here, Al, from Lazy Susan. Is it ethical to let your client hire social media personalities to spread false information, release impounded docs, and incite a mob?
Is it ethical?
Is it unethical to hire like a PR team or you know
what?
person to drum the beat of a narrative that may or may not be true?
It may not be ethical, but it's certainly legal.
I would think
legal.
that.
Okay.
I would think that's ethical. Why not? Use the social media. You're not, doing any harm.
Well, no, the way it was couched, it was like you're putting out false information, doing this, doing that. You're entitled to, the media that goes out there is what it is. We see it all the time. We've seen it recently with trials that are going on, in New York City and other places, and it happens. Okay, they spin it. Doesn't necessarily make it ethical, but it doesn't make it illegal.
They took advantage of Karen's frantic behavior. Unfortunately, Karen walked into this unknowingly and trusted untrustworthy acquaintances. And this is from Quita G. Yeah, I think that goes along my line of what prosecutors may argue at the end of the case is that this wasn't the only person who framed Karen Read was Karen Read. I could see them making an argument like that. I mean, I would if I was the prosecutor in the case, but I'm not. Okay, this is the big one I was looking for here. You want to read this one? It's too much here.
Heisenberg again. Karen's father said she told him she felt she struck something. Felt and struck are 2 points of contact. How can Karen know she didn't hit John before 5:08 when she didn't step out to see what she struck that night? Well, Heisenberg is certainly
is deep into this case. You can tell.
Yes,
love that. I love when people go deep in and really. All right, if I didn't get to your comment, I apologize, but we've got to wrap up because I got to get to CrimeCon. I'll be at CrimeCon Friday, Saturday. If you're there, come by, say hi, please, please, please do.
And I'll be watching.
Yep, and I'll be doing the show live tomorrow, live from CrimeCon tomorrow night. So
I'll be on court. I'll be on with Vinny Monday night, 9 to 10. Okay, Vinny, you'll be back.
I'll be back.
Okay, so back on with Vinny on that, and extra ticket for the Damned for the Dictators and Lenny K tomorrow, Hammerstein Ballroom. Melly, you said you're coming, so we'll see you there.
Excellent. All right, it is that time. Say goodbye, Jonesy.
Goodbye, Jonesy.